Okay, well, thanks very much. Listen, as we mentioned yesterday, we talked a lot about becoming a good coach and how do you present. Hey, by the way, is Jason and Tom here from MLB? They step out?
Yeah, they stepped out. They heard you were talking.
Okay, good. Well, I would like to. Leave them out. I would like to identify them because we have the academy down in Tirrenia, Italy, and we signed 38 players out there, and we've got of those 38 players, 9 of them come from Europe, and the program that we have down there, we really feel like we're doing good things, and we want to. It's not only for the players that we get down there; it's also for the coaches to come down there and share what we train. And the idea is that on coaching, we're always trying to find new ways to make our product better. Okay, the swing that we're going to be talking about today, you're going to be watching a lot of really high guys. You're going to see some you're going to find out the swing has never changed. Over the years, the swing has never changed. What has changed is how we train. We're finding better ways to do it. You saw about the conditioning. You saw about the strength. You see players today coming to the big leagues. They're bigger. They're stronger. They're faster. They start to. We're talking about what we're talking about coaching points. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about some of the things you've got to do to play in the big leagues. Okay, we're Major League Baseball. And that's what Major League, like we said last night, Major League Baseball is about Americans, Dominicans, Cubans. It's about Asians. It's about Europeans. It's about anybody who can play the game at a certain level, a certain speed. You can play there. So that's what we're all about. And we want to build baseball here in Europe, okay? Things we talked about last night. We need good coaches. You know that, okay? We talked about the importance of having good coaches. When I went to China, it's about getting coaches to understand what we need to do to compete with the Cubans. And if you want to play in the Olympics, that's where the big boys are, right? You got to learn how to play with these guys. I'm going to tell you what you're going to expect. You're going to have to learn how to run. You're going to have to throw. So we talked about that. We talked about having fun. You guys, you go out there and you bring these players and you get them in the program. One of the most alarming things I've been hearing is that some of the guys, the numbers are dropping off in different programs. You know what I mean? And we want to increase those numbers. That's where Major League Baseball is going to make an investment into you, or Europe is when we see the numbers grow. But you've got to have fun. The kids have got to come out there. The number one reason why kids who start with the sport and end with the sport from the first day to the last day is because they had fun at the entry level. At the entry level. So you guys that have youth programs, you guys that are building for the kids are critical. We're seeing a lot of kids quitting the game because they're not having fun. Number one, too much pressure. Number two, they're not getting better. Number three, negative coaching. Always telling them what they can't do. Good coaches always tell you what you got to do. We're getting close. We got to keep working. That's not it. You keep doing it. Keep working. Get them having fun. That's what it takes. Another thing I thought was the last one on this deal here that I saw, practices are boring. How about that? Practices are boring. That's coaching. When you go out there, we have a plan. Remember we talked about yesterday. You have focus, what you want to do. We're talking about throwing. Remember we talked about the ability to throw. Building arms take time. What we do, here's a softball that we use. Okay? The focus of throwing is to get that wrist up and get it out. You want to catch the ball, keep your fingers on top, simple as that. When you get right here, you want the wrist up and you want it to come down to the ball. That's why we throw softballs. If you have a lazy wrist, it'll fly on you. That's what we use. So then we go out, here's a little ball that we put inside of a sock. We just put a ball inside of a sock, and we can sit there and we can flip it all day long. We can go to our hotel rooms to teach guys how to do it. Put this little band here on it. Just took an old a little baseball glove and just put it on there like that. Now you got a throwing device. Put a little thing there, and all you do is sit there and throw it. They throw in studies. If you hold on to the instrument, you create arm speed. That was unbelievable. Because when you get here, you have a release. But this gives you the point, and that's what we do. Simple as that. You know who taught us that? Greg Maddox.
Why do you need the sock?
Greg Maddox one that taught me that.
Why do you need the sock?
Because you can't throw, I can't throw here. Here.
Oh, you release the ball.
I release the ball into the sock. I can do it in my hotel room. We can do it right here now.
Why did you sock them off?
Huh? Because it's hooked on here right here with the band. I wrap it around here and I throw it. You throw curveballs with it. That's how Greg Maddox did. Not too bad. 4 Cy Young Awards. You know what I mean? I learned that from him. You learn little tricks. There's tricks that these guys have. But throwing is, you don't have to sit there and have a guy to play catch with. You don't need to go out there and find somebody to do that. You put a ball in a sock and you throw. And then you start building up your arm swing. Stuff like that. Little things that help you get better. So that's what we talked about yesterday. We talked about having fun. Training sequence. We talked about the training sequence. What we did, the training sequence, the way we do it, and the way we did with our elite guys, we work on skill, then we work on conditioning, and then we work on strength. And that's the order in which we do it. We don't do strength, then skill, then conditioning. We don't do conditioning, strength, and then skill. We do the skill first. You warm them up, you go out there in your practice. On your throwing, you have certain things that you can do work on. On hitting, we do on certain things that we work on. And then we go into our conditioning at the, get our running in, our agility and stuff like that. And then we go to the weight room. That's the sequence that we do because the skill is so important. Okay? Now I'm going to go through this really quick here because we have to. I'm going to show you some of the things that we have up here. How good do you think you could be if you could do a few more things with a baseball? How good do you think you could be if you could do a few more things with a baseball?
Yeah.
That was a question my coach asked one of my players when I managed in the big leagues. And he walked away. The next day, he came back and he said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "If we could take the baseball and we could just put a little more pressure onto this finger, or we could, now the ball's going to go this way. If we put a little more pressure on this one, it goes this way. You're not changing your delivery. We're just putting pressure on the ball. How can we do certain things like that?" He goes, "Well, let's try it." That pitcher was Greg Maddox. That was my pitching coach. That, to me, is coaching. That's coaching. When you can stimulate your players, think, what do I need to do to get to the next batter? And when they go home, they want to get back. When Billy Connors walked on the field that day, Greg Maddox come running to him. What were you talking about? I couldn't sleep last night. So I thought about what that we talking about. And he says, "Well, this is what we're going to do." That's coaching. And when you can go out there and you can get your kids excited, as simple as this game it may be, because it is a simple game, and they go home that night, "Wow, that was fun. I can't wait to get back tomorrow." That's coaching. That, to me, is what I call coaching, is getting players to think, to start doing something. And that's what we tried to do last night when we talked about what is a good swing. Okay? What is a non-productive at-bat? You guys remember what a non-productive at-bat is? Right. When nothing happens, and the things that happen, a strikeout, nothing happens. The game just kind of stops, strike, you walk back to the bench, okay, let's go back to play. Guy gets up, the first pitch, he pops up in the infield. That's a non-productive at-bat. If you put the ball in play, line drive down, we see good things, correct? So that's what we talked about last night. That is very important. We talked about the importance of producing runs. What was the magic number when how many runs you score in a 9-inning ball game? You remember? Does anybody remember how many innings? Huh? 3 or more. Very good. I used to walk to my team. I used to tell them all the time, I've got 4 things to talk about today. And they go, "Okay." And I tell them one, I leave. And they go, "What the hell was all that about?" Okay. So today we got 2 things to talk about. We talk about the techniques, but we got to learn what ball flight is all about. We call it intent. I want to read something to you. I think this is really kind of thought to me. I want to read this to you. The individual is supposed to learn to merge with the skill until his mastery of it has become effortless. He does not establish intellectual control over it so much as a spiritual oneness with it. The significant point here is that acquiring a skill is essentially an act of will, something that they want to do, and self-discipline. Okay? Mastery of a skill is seen more of a master of developing one's inner self rather than one's outer muscles. That came, somebody said, did you write that? And I go, you know what, I'm not that smart to write something like that. Sada Haro in Japan, that was his theory. And that is what it's all about, except two things are missing. The thing you're missing from the quote, if we have to understand what is the intent of the hitter and what we need to do to get there. In other words, the process. We call it the process. The Japanese used to have a theory they call the hit-o for success is more important than the philosophy. What they meant, the hit-o is a word they mean the process by the way you get there, is more important than philosophy. Everybody has an idea. Everybody has thoughts and theories about the swing. Everybody has these things, and you know what? Sometimes we mess them up more than we do help them. But if you had a series of drills and you had a series of objective type training and they did it every day over a period of time, the process makes them successful more than anything else. So this quote, which is really good, the two things that are missing is called intent and what? The process. Okay, so with the idea when hitters go up there to hit, you talk to those big boys, I'm going to get a good ball to hit and I'm going to put a good swing on that ball. Okay? And then I'm going to get positive results. That's two things you do. Get a good ball to hit, put a good swing on it, and what the positive results are. Question is, what's a good ball to hit? You ask big leaguers that, some don't know it. Don't even know what they're talking about. I mean, a ball I can hit good. Well, yeah, but this guy throws 6 balls. Fastball, sinker, he has a little cutter, he has a curveball, he has a slider, knows how to turn the ball over, and this and that. What philosophy does he have? How's the ball move? He likes to turn the top of the zone, down the zone, things like that. So what do you mean a good ball to hit? Number 2 is they say, we're going to put a good swing on it. Well, what's a good swing? And the third thing is, what's a good result? When a guy leads off an inning for a double, and your job hits a ground ball to second base, getting a good ball, and that's a good result. Now he gets to third base with 1 out. You got to get him in. 75% of the major leagues, the successful teams can do that. I don't know how your team is, but you better get him in. I don't care if they're playing in or playing back. They will get him in 75% of the time. That's what they pay those guys to do. So now you got to get a ball to put in play to the outfield, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. That is a good result. You see, it's not all about swinging. We call it, there's a difference between an excellent hitter versus hitting excellence. Hitting excellence is a guy that does the job when it's counted for. That's why those guys make a lot of money. So we've got to keep that in consideration. So when we start talking about ball flight, you guys weren't here last night, this is fly balls. Pop-ups in the infield, and anything in the fly, a fly ball that goes 300 feet out there, and they catch it. This is the batting average of the big leagues. 189. And we had a ballpark that they talked about you couldn't hit in San Diego. This was the batting average, 062. A line drive in the big leagues. Average line drives. Everybody in the big leagues, the batting average is 738. On our team, which is not supposed to be a very good team, our batting average was 732. Ground balls, 238, 232. Hard ground balls, 491 in the big leagues, 433 in our ballpark. The combination of line drives, hard ground balls in the big leagues is the batting average is 672, and our ballpark was 651. The only difference in our ballpark is that long fly balls, any ball was over 360 out there, the batting average was 405, and our ballpark was 278. So if you're a fly ball hitter in our ballpark, you're going to have trouble. But if you hit line drives, you can hit in our ballpark. You can hit in Atlanta. You can hit in New York. You can hit in New York. You can hit in Seattle. You can hit in LA. You can hit anywhere in the world if you can hit line drives. So that became our obsession. That's what we do. So it was about intent. What are we intending to do when we go up there? I'm going up there, what's my intent? I'm going to look for a fastball. I'm going to look, this guy's throwing me sinkers away. I'm going to make him bring it up and get it over the plate. And I'm going to stay inside that ball, and I'm going to drive it to the part of the field that I have to drive it to. Okay? Or I got a guy throwing hard stuff in, and he has that ball that runs it on your hands, and he's got a good fastball and a good breaking ball. I can't hit the goddamn thing anyway, so why look for it? And when he throws me a curveball, I'm taking the goddamn pitch. until he can prove to me he's going to throw it for a strike, or I get 2 strikes, and I've got to go to work now. I got to spread out. I got to sit there and give up the pulling, and I got to go to work. 78% of every at bat in the big leagues goes to 2 strikes. So if you're not a good 2-strike hitter, you better look for another job. So anyway, now we're going to start talking about ball flight. We're going to talk about hitting. Tony Gwynn always talked about hitting lanes. What are hitting lanes? Where do players get their hit? I'm going a little fast here because we got to see some video. So we divided the field up in a basic section. This is called the pole zone. This is going the oppo, and this is the middle. Okay, that's fake. Well, we're going to go right about like this. Okay, that's kind of the way it was. We analyzed 24,000 balls put into play in the big leagues. 24,000 balls. These are the batting areas. The pole zone, and by the way, the left-handers were identical to the right-handers. Left and right were identical. The batting average was 314. The oppo was 298. Actually 294. And the middle of the field, 370. That's batting average. That's just the way it is. The slugging percentage, was more, this is 70% of all the slug power. Going the opposite field was good, but you better be some kind of super strong to play the power game in this area here. Manny Ramirez spends about 80% of his time driving the ball to right center. But when the game starts, 90% of all his damage is right in here. That's the way so he pitches it that way. If he wants to get his little base hits the other way, give it to him. But I'll tell you what, when you start coming inside, you better get it in there, because if you don't, you're asking for a new baseball. The only thing you throw, the only thing you're looking for, when you throw a ball in here at Manny Ramirez, those big hitters, the only thing you see is the cover of the ball and a string that goes out that way. They knock the cover off the ball. So, we know all that. So, and again, it's about execution. It's about doing what we need to do to get the ball inside. And it's about the hitter who has the patience that can stand there instead of start swinging at those curveballs in the dirt and the fork balls or whatever. And then the other thing is that, you hear a lot about this. Jimmy, and I know you guys hear a lot about this. To be honest with you, base on balls are great, but they sign these guys because they can swing the bat. And the deal is you cannot manufacture base hits in the big leagues. If you can't hit a fastball, they're coming after you. You just might as well pack it up and go home. The AAA is filled with nothing but guys that can't hit fastball. So they're coming after you. Good hitters walk because they respect you. They start you up with fork balls and curve balls. Try to throw a first ball fastball to Mark McGuire or Jose Canseco or Barry Bonds. Say, I'm going to get strike 1 first. Here it is. You'll never see another ball. They don't. They sit on one pitch, and boy, when they get it, they don't miss it. They don't miss it. So anyway, it's all about strategy. So we talked about ball flight. We talked about, I got a lot of stuff here, guys, that we go over with our guys. The effective hitting ball. This is what they call effective expected run value. It's really good. It kind of tells you what to expect when a guy leads off. You move him over. Am I given? If I take a guy and he gets on base, and then suddenly my expected goes from 0.55 to 0.94, and if I'm going to give an out up to get him to second, am I reducing my chances or making it better by giving an out? It's good. That's all. Those are all the things you think about when you manage. Conversion of base runners. That's a really big average. The good teams score 40% of their runs that get on base, and the bad teams about 32%. So which means that if you get 100 guys on base, they're going to score 40 of those guys will score. And the difference between the top teams, which is the Rangers, the White Sox, Philadelphia, all the big boys, and you come down, it's always doing the little things that you have to do. It's not always about the home run, a double. Third base conversion, we talked about that. We talked about hitting lanes. We talked about the importance of base runners versus slugging percentage. Everybody thinks that the slugging percentage is important, but if you have base runners, the magic number is if you can get 11 to 12 base runners on base, your win-loss percent jumps up. So it's about base on ball, base hits, working the count, all this stuff. We're going to get into this, by the way, tomorrow. We're going to talk about strategy and how to coach it. So today we're going to be talking about technique. All right, let's see if we get this thing working. So now we're going to go into this is a book that I wrote a long time ago. And I'm not trying to brag. This book sold some stuff. But I'm going to show you something. This is what I just want to read to you. We talk about centrifugal force versus centripetal force. We talk about leverage. We talk about, loading and all that kind of stuff. But the 5 phases of hitting is called the setup position, stance, get in rhythm with the pitcher. Number 2 is a power position. It's where that front foot comes down. What are you doing? The third one is called the approach. What is the initial movement to the ball? Then it's called the release. What's happening on contact? And the fourth thing is follow through. Okay? This is it. It has not changed in some 30 years. And this program is going to show you exactly the same thing, but in different terms. Coach has different languages. Coaches will say, stay inside the ball. Let's do this. We do that. Again, it's learning how to do. But you got to understand, you got to get a good picture of what we're talking about. Kids, you say, get to your power position. No, you get to your launch position. No, you get into the firing position. No, you get into the throwing position. They're all the same. They're all the same, and players get confused. What do you mean? And by the way, power is an efficient transfer of energy from back to forward. Back to forward. And it's seamless. It's not back, stop, then go forward. It's a sequence of boom! It's like a rubber band. A rubber band doesn't have much power, but when you extend it out there, it gets more power, right? And if I took the rubber band and went boom, that's when I get maximum speed. And that's how the body functions. I keep my hands back as I stride. I create that stretch reflex. And then the contraction is where the speed comes. It's all into the core. So let's put it to the test to see if these guys can do it. Alex Rodriguez. Not bad. I'll take him. How about you guys? Huh? All right, let's take a look at something right here quick. We're going to go to pools. This guy's not a bad hitter. In fact, he's real good. But I'm messing up here. You got to help me out here, Doc. I got to get him up here. What happened? He's right down there. We got to get him up here. Where did we go wrong here? Oh, here. Okay. I'm not a computer wizard, guys. I don't really. But what we do is we bring them all in and we put them up. And now we're going to look at pools. Okay, here he is, a big, strong. I want you to just watch him swing the bat. I just want you to watch him swing. He's got a little bit of a motion there. His hands back. Very strong guy, man. He was a non-drafted player out of high school. Finally got drafted in, 14th round or something like that. Fat guy, said he could never play. Took to start getting in shape, get serious. Okay, now let's go frame by frame. Let's take a little different look at him, okay? Let's put him in the setup position. This is how he sets up. Like we say, start. Okay, then now the terms that they use in their program right here, they call it negative move. I don't call it a negative move. I call it the power position. It's getting ready to hit. It's like a guy going to jump. You know what I mean? You don't stand there and go this way. You load and go. That's what you got to do. It's the same thing with hitting. So this is getting into what we call the power position. So let's take a look at it. So now his foot is coming down. His bat is back. Right here. He's keeping his hands right on his shoulder. More importantly, it's on the line. I have a theory. Great. If hitting is hand-eye coordination, I want the hands and eyes on the same level. I don't want my hands down here. Because I'm looking this way, my eyes are underneath it. So I have an approach. So I want to go directly to the ball. So he's in a perfect position. He keeps his hands back behind the back leg. Okay, now we go to what we call toe touch. When he hits the ground, as he drifts forward, he still maintains that angle. That's called loading. Every hitter loads. As you hit the ground, he starts his rotation. He gets in a connection as he comes across the hip, the elbow is in, the wrists are loaded. He comes to bat leg, we talk a lot about that. He's in position, now he gets to contact. And when he's in contact, this palm is up, this palm is up, this palm is down. And the barrel stays below your hands. The only way, anybody got a bat? Do we have a bat? I'm giving a lecture on hitting, we don't have a bat. But that's one of the things. They always talk about keeping their hands above the ball, and they want to keep the barrel on plane. That's the key. You want to get the barrel to the ball, and you want it to stay on the ball. Thank you. Thank you very much. Man, it's a good bat. You know, you ought to buy, somebody ought to buy this. So anyway, what we do is when I get that barrel to the ball, I want to make sure that I stay on it. And the big fallacy, we got to stay level. When we come level, the next move is this way. And watch what happens when this hand turns over. The barrel comes up and it rolls. That's the ball you top. But that's the ball I drive when the hands are slightly here. Now you see that ball is slightly up on pool holes. So you see that angle right here. You see that angle right there? Slightly below the hands. Next frame, he goes to extension. The wrists start to roll, and he's got perfect balance right in here like that. Perfect. Let's go to a guy. Let's take a look at somebody else here. Let's take a look at. I can't see everybody. Get somebody a little bit. Ichiro. This guy's pretty good. He's from Japan. Funky little stance. He's kind of all coiled up in his deal. He's got his toe turned in, his knees come in. All right, let's go to, he's starting out right here. Now he's going to go to, look at that, that's how he loads. A little different. Notice how the angle of the bat is increased. Whoops. There. Now we're looking for the angle. That's what we look for. We look for the angle. He's got an angle here, and he's got an angle here. This is where the power comes from. Then we go to toe touch. Now he's like everybody else. Heel plant. Now he starts the rotation. You can see the rotation. The ball, what you do is this. It's not about hands at this point. It's about this. It's about the transfer of energy from here to here, and it's like rotation. I had a picture at home, and I want to show it to you sometime. They did it on Matsuzaka. They showed a picture of Matsuzaka, and they showed it from frame to frame, and how all these energies start to wrap around, and they start to get right there. Same thing with hitting. The magic move is when the hips start to rotate, and the hands stay back. That's what creates all that torque, like this. It's all right there. Now look at him. As you see Ichiro come forward, as he hits the ground, now he comes to contact. Now he goes to bat leg. Boom. He's bat leg. See, the hands are in front. This is called bat leg. Okay? He gets the contact. Palm is up. Palm is down. He's making contact. His hands are pretty much over his front knee. And this guy can drive the ball pretty good. So we see a similarity. Now we talk about Ichiro like, boy, he's weird. You know, he's different. He's no different than anybody else. Now his approach maybe a little bit. Okay, here we go. Oh, here's a good one. Joe Mauer. You know who he is? This guy is a big cover. You know, flat back like this. All right. So guys are different. Okay. Now he goes to toe touch. Now he gets ready to go. He loads. Picks his front leg up. It's toe touch. Oh, suddenly what happens? Oh, he gets in an angle. McGuire's number one key was hold the angle of the front wrist. That's where the power comes. So you've got to create an angle. See, a lot of guys teach like this all the time. Well, you've taken the angle away. Not only did you take the angle away, you take the speed. When I create a little bit of cocking right here, and I got an angle, all I got to do is bring my hands forward. This bat's got to catch up to my hands, and that's where the speed is. But if I'm like this, I have no speed. You don't see power guys that drive the ball. So now he gets into, how are we doing time?
You're doing good.
As you come down, now he sets in, he starts to have a good athletic position, and he gets into connection as he comes across his front hip. Back leg we talked about, and boom, he's on contact, palms up, palms down. And the barrel is below his hands. And where's the sweet spot? Tell your players one day, show me the sweet spot. You know, I always say, well, they look at their bat and go, well, my sweet spot is here, and here, and here. What about out here? No, it's supposed to be right here. There's about 2 inches. Hank Aaron was a pretty good player. And the only thing Hank Aaron said, I want to throw my top hand underneath here's my lead hand. When I make contact, I want this hand to be underneath this one. And I want to keep it there as long as I can. And that's what you see. So now we're talking about some pretty good hitters, and we're all doing the same thing, right? Okay, so then we go into extension. Now the hands start to roll over, and they do it automatically. Okay? They do it automatically. Now again, he has a little bit of a lean back in here, but that's called staying behind the ball. Great extension. Pete Rose says, the secret hitting, Pete Rose says, the secret hitting is not using your hands. He said the wrist play no part hitting in baseball. And you say, well, what the hell did you do, Pete? Well, he only has 4,000 some odd hits. When a guy says, I make a statement like that, instead of criticizing, you say, what you thinking? You can change him. I want to know how a guy gets 4,000 hits. Thanks. He said the key to hitting is the back arm locks out. What you do is you create angles. These are angles. And the angles stay together. They're tight. And then on contact, the angles get big. See how they extend? When the angles straighten out, and I catch it right there. So Pete Rose says the wrist play no part hitting baseball. It's the back arm locking out. Well, you know what? There it is. So that's the way he did it. Now, I would teach that. I think the wrist play a lot of in baseball. But that was his sweet spot. Let's go over to King Griffey Jr. I had this guy when I was, okay, now we're talking about Junior. He had a little bit, let's watch him swing a little bit. This guy had one of those beautiful swings. Come on, Junior, let's go. A little rhythm. See how he gets his rhythm? He just rocks. That's called rhythm and timing. He does it. He just rocks. He goes forward. And all at once, watch him. He lets go of the bat, right? Well, let's stop it. I mean, what the hell? He's not supposed to do that. Let's start with the stance. Let's start with it. He loads up. He picks his front leg up. When he picks the front leg up, where's the weight go? To the back side. As he strides forward, he gets the toe touch. He had one of the longest strides here and the torque. Now look at, we keep the hands behind the back leg. There it is. There's the angle that he created. Right there like that. The heads and eyes are right there like that. Perfect position. Then he goes into what we call connection. Then he gets into bat leg, was already there. And then he makes contact. The palm is up. Both hands are on the bat when he makes contact. And look at the angle of the bat. The hands are above the ball. And he's going to probably make contact somewhere off this on the bat. And we'll go to extension. Boom. Come on. Boom. Keeps that palm up. See, that's the key. The key is this. The great hitters, they can keep that palm. They start to rotate, which clears out the hips, and they make contact, and they get violent from here to here. And it's not like this. It's like this. And that's what he does. He makes contact, and when that ball comes off his bat, it's usually about 110 miles an hour. Exit speed for great players is right around 100 miles an hour. The average exit speed in the big leagues is 95. The guys are in the hundreds. Those are the guys that drive the big cars. And the guys that are 110, and those guys, they have chauffeurs. They have airplanes. You know, that's all it is. They don't count the money. Their firms count it. But again, his head is right off his backside right here. We're going to talk about these techniques tomorrow and how you train them and the key. But I want you to see this so we can understand what we're talking about. Let's go over to another player. This guy. He's not too bad, Manny Ramirez. Here's Manny. Now watch him. This is really good. Watch how he stands there in the stance. Boom. Now he's going to go to the power or load. He's going to get it going. He's going to start making. See, the key is, well, your weight. By the way, I'm going to show you a couple shots. You start your loading when the ball is still in the pitcher's hands. But you're starting to get ready here. It's not forward. This is what a lot of young kids do. They go forward, they bring their hands with them. See how you keep your hands behind your back leg, and that's an automatic load. Okay? They keep the bat in front of their chest, and when we go to the front view, you'll always see the bat. But we see a lot of kids do this. As they stride, they do this. Now they're locked. We call stuck. They can't come out. They keep the hands in front. Now look at Junior. Manny. So here he goes into his load, or we think he calls it negative. See how he sets up? He sets everything back. Now he comes down to toe touch. Boom! Look at the angle he's created. There it is. The barrel is in front of his hands, and the bat is behind the back leg. Now he gets into what they call heel plant, and now he sits in the leg. You see the athleticism? You see the bending? He's getting it. Now he goes to connect. It goes to connection. bat leg. These are just terms. And then you get to what we call contact. There, come on. That palm is up and that palm is down. He keeps his head right off his backside. In other words, it's right off, whoops, here. By the way, this is the ball he pulled in the All-Star game. It was a hard fastball in on by Roger Clemens, and he pulled it down the line for a 3-run homer. And he also has a great rotation of the hips here. He's got a great angle right in there like that. He's hitting into a firm front side. So what we're seeing, guys, to me, is what I'm seeing is consistency of all the hitters. There's not like, we looked at Ichiro, we looked at this guy, we looked at that guy, we looked at Joe Mauer, who hits all over the field. The good ones do certain things. Here's another good hitter called Matt Holliday. Going to make a lot of money when he was with the, this is when he was with the Rockies, he went to the A's, and he wound up with the Cardinals this year, and he did really good for him. Now, he kind of holds his bat a little bit flat. You see how it is? So now we're going to go right to the load. As he goes into the air, see now he picks his leg up. Now try to teach that. That's hard to do, you know what I mean? But some guys, that's how they feel comfortable. This guy's one of the best hitters in baseball. Now he does the toe touch. Boom. Now it's just like everybody else. He's got the angle. The hands are up. The bat is behind the back leg. And he's square. His hips, shoulders are square to home plate. Then he goes into what we call, if you want to call it toe cut or connection, it's rotation. The hands and arms stay close to the body. He gets the bat leg just like everybody else. Then he comes to contact and palms up and palms down. Okay? So what I'm saying is that we sometimes, it's not about, and again, look at the barrel of the bat. The hands are above the ball, and the barrel's got that angle. So that allows the barrel to stay on plane. So I can catch it back here, I can catch it there, or I can catch it there. I got what we call big zone. It's the short swing, but I can cover the whole plate. That's how they handle breaking balls. That's how they handle stuff like that. That's how they handle speed. So again, one of the things that we're going to talk about tomorrow is the ability to keep the hands. You want to almost feel like the barrel is behind your hands, even on a ball inside. When the ball's inside, the ball's in there. You pull your hands in, and the barrel, and believe me, it'll catch up. And boy, but your palm is up, and that's what keeps the barrel on the ball. We call it easy power. And we see guys that can hit a ball a long ways, easy power, because they get the ball to contact on time, and they keep it on contact through the ball. Okay? So now let's go. How much time we have?
10 minutes.
Huh?
10 minutes.
Okay. We're running out of time. We can do this all day, guys. You know, and so what we're going to do now we're going to look at different guys. A-Rod, looking at him. The swing, we haven't seen him yet. But we'll take a look at A-Rod. Okay, now we're going to go through this frame by frame. Because you're going to see now. We're going to watch him hit a little bit. This is Zambrano from the Cubs. He probably throws about 95. He's got serious movement. It's late, and I mean, that ball's inside. He's going to drive the ball to right field. Okay, let's go. Let's talk. Now, stop him. Go frame by frame, if we can do that. He picks his leg up. The ball is still in the pitcher's hand. He starts his action. He's getting going. Now, he's reading the ball out of his hands. What he's doing now is he's getting ready, but he hasn't committed. You know what I mean? He's getting ready to hit. His leg is up. Here comes the ball. He keeps his hands here. You can see his hands. You can see them from that angle. He keeps them in front of his chest. He switches. Man, where am I going? You still see his hands. He stays square on contact. He's all slightly behind the ball. Boom. He drives it into right field for a base hit. Okay? Now we take that same picture from the catcher's view. Now we see the same swing from a different angle. Come on. He's getting ready. His movement. He keeps his body moving. He picks his leg up. He keeps his hands in the chest pretty good. And then he comes to the ball. Gets his foot down. His hands are back. He starts getting on plane back there. Now, where's he going to hit the ball? Right field? Who says right field? Who says left field? Who says center? That's a curveball, by the way. Here's a fastball. Where is it? You got to get fastball. That's a breaking ball. You're right. So, but we're going to go look through some other guys here. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go through. I can't really see a lot. Bobby Abreu. Remember him? This guy can flat hit. He played with the Phillies last year. He's with the Angels. And we're looking from him from the backside now. As we see him get ready to swing, I like to watch this ankle because I can tell what his shoulders are doing. And let's go get him to. There he is. He picks his leg up. He's in perfect balance. He puts his foot down, and then now he starts to see how the hips are starting to rotate. He keeps those hands inside the ball. The back leg is there. He drives the ball. He squares up to the ball. Notice the angle of the bat. That's a base hit through the middle. And I mean, he crushes. This guy can flat hit. He's really good. And so what we're looking, now we're seeing different angles. I want to show you one more of, I want to show you, if I can find it. We got tons of guys here. Here's a good one, Guerrero. You ever heard of this guy? This guy does it all. Here's from behind. Now watch him. He's just a freak. That's what he is. He's basically a freak. And then he goes boom, 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 boom. He's what we call tipping. That's a big term now. They use that a lot. Tipping is when you tip. That's a big thing now. When you get your head ahead of your hands, and then when I get the technique of rotating, then this creates more of a speed move. Anyway, that's what they do. They call it tipping. That's the big term now when you talk about good hitters. The great big tip. But he keeps the bat. See how he keeps the bat in front of his chest? Now look at, he's tipping. As he goes into, he gets ready to swing. He cocks his hips. Watch, sets the bat where he wants it to be. Now watch the rotation of those hips. They are really moving. He gets the barrel to the ball. Boom. You know, the reason why I like to watch this guy is because every time he swings the bat, I mean, you get tired watching it. You say, God damn, it's a hard swing. He's really good, to say the least. Ichiro. Let's take a look at Ichiro from the catcher's viewpoint. The same swing we saw before. We're going to put him into, now he's loaded. He drops his hands. He gets a toe touch. And then suddenly, here he goes. Those hips turn. See those hip turn? Hands stay close to the body. Boy, he puts that barrel on the ball. By the way, this guy can hit a ball 9 miles. If you put him in a home run hitting contest, and he hits them, I mean, he hits them long ways. But that's not his style. He kind of works, he runs, and everybody see him running out of the plate. He's not running. He's got tremendous turning action of the hips. And then we go into, okay.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay, let's see what the pool holes. Oh, I got that guy here. Here's one of my guys. Where's Sandy Sosa? 5 minutes. Joe Mauer. Well, this guy, you know, if you want to, we'll spend a little time after everything's over. We'll sit around and go through all these guys because we're running out of time a little bit. Okay, the big thing is they all do the same thing. They all have a different way of loading. Some of them pick their leg up. Some of them would kind of, turn their knee in. Some of them just kind of stride and keep their hands back. Manny stands there like this, and he just kind of sits up and he sits down. He talks about sit down on the ball. He wants to sit down on it. That's where he makes that athletic move. But it's all from rotation. Once you get, it's like throwing. Throwing is basically a one-legged skill. You get everything on one side, and then the key is to get on the front side, and then you're off this. So you're very seldom are you on the ground, other than standing like this. But once you start the throwing action from here to here, you're only on the ground for a short time with both feet on the ground. It's a shift. That's why we're talking about footwork. It's to be able to shift the weight, catch the ball. Omar Vizquel, my shortstop when I managed Seattle. You know what I mean? He said, I said, how'd you get those great hands? He says, God, that's fantastic. He says, you don't catch with your hands, you catch with your feet. It's all about getting the feet in position. Same thing with hitting. It's these guys that shift that weight, they hold it, then boom! They get to that front side, and they do it through here. It's all that power that's generated through here. And the longer I can keep my hands back and get that lag in here, then suddenly it just jumps out of my hand. I don't even have to do it. It's called easy power. So that's a big thing that we have. Now, what we did, and I thought that this would be maybe something you might be interested in, let me know about it. But what we did is we used to put all that stuff that we had, we called a swing. Everything we talked about, we put in a swing, and we put the 5 phases right here, and then we put all the different players in the power up, the setup position, gives you the key points, so you can show your players. And we've got it now in 3 or 4 different languages. We've got it in Chinese, we've got it in, obviously, we've got it in Spanish, we've got everything like that. So, you know, when you look at it, then you start to see all this stuff working. Now, the real trick is, what you're going to find tomorrow, is how do you pull it together? Okay, we had an understanding of hitting lanes. We have an understanding of ball flight. Now we're getting a better understanding of what the techniques that we have to have. To be a good hitter, you've got to be consistent. You've got to be able to do it. You're going to strike out if you ever play in the big leagues. You're going to roll over on balls. Hi, Tom. Good to see you. And what we did is you're going to do that as long as you're in the big leagues. But the guy that can forget about it, next at bat, do something. When I had Sammy Sosa in Chicago, when he first got there, I mean, he'd strike out, then he'd strike out again, and when he struck out 3 times, I knew he was going to strike out the 4th time. Because he couldn't wait to get up there, and he's just swinging at the arm. Now, Sammy, you got to start working on getting a little deeper, and he took him a while. He was a project. Boy, but when he got it, he got it. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, okay? So it's important to see all this, because now you get a very clear picture of what we got to do, understanding about the dynamic called the kinetic chain, how frame by frame leads, set all they do. Everybody has a little bit, different trick in there, but the bottom line is we got to pull it together. Okay? Thank you very much for your time. We'll get into